to go through today. So, first one here, and I've started using Populist Press. Shout out to Red Pill 78 for letting me know that this exists, that this is out there. Very cool stuff. It's a really great website, so just check it out, populist.press. Lots of stories on there that you don't want to miss, and it seems to be a really good aggregator to bring in everything that matters, and get rid of all the crap. Separate the wheat from the chaff, if you will. So let's go ahead and get into this. Sidney Powell says, witness stated fraud exists in DNA of all voting machines in the entire country. Quote, it's not just the Dominion machines. We have experts and a witness who have explained to us that the fraud exists in the DNA of all the software that was run by any voting system in the country. So it kind of confirms to us that Dominion is not our only problem when it comes to voting machines in this country. It all needs to be cleaned out. The fraud exists in every single one of them, according to Sidney Powell. If you want to check out that clip, I will go ahead and give you guys a link to this. Just like I said in the last one, I'm going to do a Twitter thread, which has all the links to everything that I covered in these two videos today. So we'll move on to the next one. Quote, we must have voter ID and we must go back to paper ballots. This is another clip from today of Sidney Powell speaking, and I could not agree with her more. So once again, if you want to check out that clip, I will include it in my Twitter thread. All right, next one. Sidney Powell, backdoor access from foreign countries into 2020 election machines. This is big, guys. Think about that. Backdoor access from foreign countries into the 2020 election machines, which have features that allow people to meddle in the vote, right? To change the votes, to flip the votes around, to all-out delete votes, it's just absolutely insane. And the fact that backdoor access, apparently foreign countries had backdoor access to our voting system, that's a really big problem. So let's go ahead. Oh, it's another clip from this NTD Live. I'm not sure if we're allowed to play NTD Live on 5x5. I don't think we are, so I won't include the clip here. But again, I'll include the link in my Twitter thread so you guys can go check it out. That's on twitter.com/Sees in Pixels. SEESINPIXELS. All right, let's go ahead and get into the story here from Newsmax. DOJ will continue to probe claims of election fraud. Now, yesterday, Attorney General Barr made a statement that made him sound like he's, a total lefty and compromised. He basically said that so far they haven't seen anything proving election fraud, but they clarified their statements today, so let's go ahead and read up on this. This is from Newsmax. The Justice Department is reiterating it has not concluded its investigation of possible election fraud and is vowing to pursue all specific and credible allegations of ballot fraud stemming from the presidential contest. And again, I'm having big time reading issues today. Everything seems to me like it's a tongue twister, which I know it's not, so like I said, make fun of me. At me on Twitter. Make fun of me for my crappy reading. A statement from a DOJ spokesperson came after the Associated Press interviewed Attorney General Bill Barr about the status of the probe. The CBS News correspondent Catherine Herridge posted the DOJ statement on her Twitter account. The DOJ spokesperson did not deny the AP report, but was at odds with how some of the media outlets represented it. Quote, some media outlets have incorrectly reported that the department has concluded its investigation of election fraud and announced an affirmative finding of no fraud in the election, the spokesperson said. Quote, that is not what the Associated Press reported, nor what the Attorney General stated. The department will continue to receive and vigorously pursue all specific and credible allegations of fraud as expeditiously as possible. President Donald Trump linked to the statement on Twitter and added, quote, the fake news refused to report this, unquote. So, I wasn't one of the people to hop on Barr and blast him away just yet. I'm holding out for Barr. We'll see what happens with everything. But of course, if nothing happens, we're gonna hold his feet to the fire. That's for sure. Next one, and of course, it didn't load correctly. Let me just go ahead and reload that. Stuff always goes wrong. It always has to go wrong. Load, load, load. Let's go. Thank you. Okay, so published 8 hours ago on Fox News, Georgia group founded by Stacey Abrams under investigation for seeking out-of-state and dead voters. Yes, you heard that correctly. Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger has launched investigations into several groups, including one... Goodness gracious. Including one founded by former Georgia gubernatorial... What is happening? Do you guys see this? It's like just blanking out on my screen. Let's start over. Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger has launched investigations into several groups, including one founded by former Georgia gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams for seeking to quote-unquote aggressively register ineligible out-of-state or deceased voters before the state's January 5th Senate runoff elections. Raffensperger's office on Wednesday said the investigations are into groups including America Votes, Vote Forward, and the New Georgia Project, which was founded by Abrams and previously chaired by Democratic Senate candidate Raphael Warnock. Raffensperger, for weeks, has issued warnings against efforts to register individuals who are ineligible to vote in Georgia's runoff elections or to encourage people to come to Georgia with the sole purpose of casting ballots. Quote, I have issued clear warnings several times to groups and individuals working to undermine the integrity of elections in Georgia through false and fraudulent registrations, unquote, Raffensperger said in a statement Wednesday. Quote, the security of Georgia's elections is of the utmost importance. Raffensperger said Wednesday that his office has, quote, received specific evidence that these groups have solicited voter registrations from ineligible individuals who have passed away or live out of state. Man, I knew that Stacey Abrams was like a total clown. I didn't know how bad it was, I guess. This is crazy. Quote, I will investigate these claims thoroughly and take action against anyone attempting to undermine our elections, he vowed. Raffensperger said earlier this week that America Votes is, quote, sending absentee ballot applications to people at addresses where they have not lived since 1994. That's before I was born, actually. Vote Forward, he said, quote, attempted to register a dead Alabama voter, a woman, to vote here in Georgia. He also spotlighted the New Georgia Project, who sent voter registration applications to New York City. The Secretary of State also pinpointed Operation New Voter Registration Georgia, who is telling college students in Georgia that they can change their residency to Georgia and then change it back after the election. Jeez, dude, that's... God. I have no words for a lot of this stuff, guys. That's why I'm not really including a lot of commentary, because if I did, you'd probably just get like an angry rant from me for like a half hour straight, and we don't want that. Raffensperger's office also has 23 investigators working on 250 open investigations into, quote, credible claims of illegal voting and election law violations, he said. According to the Georgia Code, a false registration, an example, someone who registers to vote knowing that they do not possess the qualifications required by law, is a felony and can be punished by between 1 and 10 years in prison and or up to a $100,000 fine. Raffensperger's office on Wednesday detailed several instances in which the Abrams-Warnock associated group, the New Georgia Project, have allegedly solicited voters living out of state and people who have passed away. Warnock was chairman of the group until January. Raffensperger's office referenced one Fulton County resident who reported receiving 5 postcards from the New Georgia Project soliciting a registration, quote, for the same dead person, and a Cherokee County resident who received a voter registration solicitation from the New Georgia Project for his spouse who is ineligible to vote. A third person, according to Raffensperger's office, said the New Georgia Project sent a voter registration solicitation to his daughter, who is not registered to vote in Georgia and had not lived in a different state for 5 years. While a fourth individual reported receiving a, quote, package of postcards at her home in New York City from the New Georgia Project, encouraging people to register to vote in the Georgia Senate runoffs. Another effort, including According to Georgia election officials, Operation New Voter Registration Georgia encouraged Emory students to register fraudulently to vote in the January 5th runoffs. A flyer from the group told students that, quote, your current residence can be another state. You are simply changing your state of residence now, and it can be switched back for future elections, your option. Meanwhile, Vote Forward, a nonprofit organization, sent a letter to a long-deceased Alabama resident encouraging her to register to vote, while America Votes, which calls itself, quote, the coordination hub of the progressive community, way to out yourselves, sent 2 absentee ballot applications in 1 week to an individual at an address where they had not resided since July 1994. The current balance of power for the next Senate coming out of this month's elections is 50 Republicans and 48 Democrats. That means Democrats must win both of Georgia's runoff elections to make it a 50-50 Senate. If that occurs, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, which she's not Vice President-elect, screw you Fox News, would be the tie-breaking vote, giving her party a razor-thin majority in the chamber. In Georgia, where state law dictates a runoff if no candidate reaches 50% of the vote, GOP Senator David Perdue narrowly missed avoiding a runoff, winning 49.75% of the vote. Democratic challenger John Ossoff trails by roughly 87,000 votes. In the other race, appointed Republican Senator Kelly Loeffler captured nearly 26% of the vote in a whopping 20-candidate special election to fill the final 2 years of the term of former GOP Senator Johnny Isakson. The Democratic candidate in the runoff, Reverend Raphael Warnock, won nearly 33% of the vote in the first round. So that does it for this article. And of course this happened, right? Is anybody really surprised by this? No, especially not since it was founded by Stacey Abrams. It's got Democrat corruption written all over it just by having her name associated with it. And of course, my web browser is being stupid. Next, from the Gateway Pundit, corrupt FBI Director Chris Wray and now fired CISA Director Chris Krebs produced video before election declaring 2020 election secure. That's right. They actually produced a video before the election came out claiming that the 2020 election was secure. Absolute clown-level idiocy, dude. FBI Director Chris Wray and now fired CISA Chris Krebs claimed before the 2020 election that everything was secure and nothing to worry about. Well, now we know that the exact opposite is true. Why has President Trump not fired Chris Wray yet? I'd really, really like to see that happen because, honestly, so far, he's been nothing but a complete swamp rat. I'm sick of it. They even went so far as to put a video together to make their claims, and here's the video here. Shortly after the 2020 election, which will go down as the most corrupt and fraudulent election in world history, Krebs and a group of deep state colleagues claimed that the election was secure. Nothing to see here. This prompted President Trump to terminate Krebs' position with the government. And there's some sourcing for that. The president announced Krebs' firing in a pair of tweets, which Krebs responded to. Krebs next went on 60 Minutes and shared that the 2020 election was secure, claiming he was a victim. Well, look at Mr. Victim there with the stupid look on his face. Screw you, Krebs. Nobody likes you, nobody wants you in government anymore, and we're glad that you're gone because you were carrying water for something disgusting, corrupt, and something that should never, ever, ever happen in our country. Of course, the 2020 election was the most corrupt election in world history. Banana republics have nothing on the Democrats. They contaminated the election with bogus ballots, manipulated results from easily corrupted voting machines, and numerous cases of voter fraud. If we had a fair and free Justice Department, individuals like Wray and Krebs would be investigated for colluding to validate a corrupt and dishonest election, the worst in U.S. and world history. And I could not agree more with the words here from the Gateway Pundit. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. This is pretty funny. So, Project Veritas strikes again, guys. James O'Keefe, a total hero. This comes from the Gateway Pundit. CNN Jeff Zucker, other execs spike coverage of New York Post Hunter Biden laptop bombshell, and you can hear them discussing it in their morning calls, which were commandeered by James O'Keefe. Project Veritas released tapes on Tuesday of CNN's 9 a.m. rundown calls that they have secretly been recording for months. These tapes expose CNN President Jeff Zucker, and several other CNN executives expressing their extreme political biases against President Trump. On Wednesday, Project Veritas released a recording of Jeff Zucker and other CNN execs spiking coverage of the New York Post's Hunter Biden laptop bombshell. Recall, the New York Post dropped a devastating October surprise on the Biden campaign when they published contents from Hunter Biden's laptop. Hunter Biden's emails revealed Joe Biden was involved in foreign pay-to-play schemes. Joe Biden, aka the big guy, received between 10% and 50% of Hunter Biden's business dealings with China, Ukraine, Russia, Romania, and other countries. This is a huge scandal, but CNN decided to run cover for Joe Biden. Quote, obviously, we're not going with the New York Post story on Hunter Biden right now. CNN's vice president and political director David Shalane said, perhaps there was a meeting with someone from Burisma, unquote. CNN general counsel David Vigilante said. And here's the video from James O'Keefe. Let's just play this and bask in its glory, shall we?
The Hunter Biden story was an explosive blow against Joe Biden leading up to the presidential election. But listen on this 9 a.m. editorial conference call at CNN how President Jeff Zucker chooses to not cover this important story.
I think on the Breitbart, New York Post, Fox News rabbit hole of Hunter Biden, which I don't think anybody outside of that world understood last night, the Wall Street Journal reported that their review of all corporate records showed no role for Joe Biden on the Chinese deal. And yes, I do put more credibility in the Wall Street Journal than I do in the New York Post.
Obviously, we're not going with the New York Post story right now on Hunter Biden, and which seems to be giving its marching orders to Fox News and the right-wing echo chamber about what to talk about today. Obviously, Hunter Biden's lawyer is quoted in that New York Post piece, and we'll just continue to report out. This is the very stuff that the president was impeached over. This is the stuff that Senate committees looked at and found nothing wrong in Joe Biden's interactions with Ukrainians, and now having an email that perhaps there was a meeting with someone from Burisma is, it seems, Rudy Giuliani's sort of dream-a-vision of how to throw stuff at the wall in these closing days of the campaign.
Hey, Jeff, it's just David on the Burisma story, and we should be awfully careful about that, obviously. But I do think there's a media story of what in the world are Maggie Haberman and Jake Sherman doing, retweeting that story.
Man. Just hearing them in their own words, I don't even know what to say to these people, man. It's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. Okay. Last story I've got for you guys, and you might have seen this earlier. This actually happened while I was putting these two videos together. President Trump addresses the nation about voter fraud allegations. This may be the most important speech I've ever made. Okay. And there's a video of it there, and once again, I will share the links to everything. I'll just make up a big Twitter thread, like I said before. President Donald Trump addressed the nation Wednesday in what he said, quote, may be the most important speech I've ever made, and I encourage you to go check it out. During his over 45-minute remarks, Trump discussed a, quote, coordinated assault and siege on the election. He presented several instances of alleged voter fraud in swing states and called for an investigation into those claims. Quote, this is not just about honoring votes of 74 million Americans who voted for me. It's about ensuring that Americans can have faith in this election and in all future elections, Trump said. Trump also took swipes at Democrats, saying, quote, they had it rigged from the very beginning and used the COVID-19 pandemic to execute their supposed plan. Well, it's obvious that they did with the whole mail-in ballot thing, right? He then claimed that the Dominion software in voting machines was used to change the outcome of the election, among the other discrepancies. Trump also took aim at the media for failing to cover the allegations of fraud. He said that he has long been victims to their attacks and in 2016 was falsely targeted, referring to the now debunked allegations his campaign had ties to Russia. Quote, so who knows if he's ever even going to do a report, but if you look at the lies and the leaks and the illegal acts of behavior done by so many people and their desire to hurt the President of the United States, something should happen, Trump explained. He's talking there about the Durham probe. He added, quote, "The hardest thing I have to do is explain why nothing is happening with all of these people that got caught spying on my campaign. It's never happened before, and it should never happen again to a president of the United States." Trump added that he's still fighting for his victory and believes there's enough evidence to make that happen. So, very good. And yeah, I do encourage you to check this out from the president. It is 45 minutes long, but it's a great speech, and he makes some great points and highlights some very, very important things. So that pretty much does it for the programming today. If you missed the first video, I went through some really important stories that happened yesterday, which was Tuesday, December 1st. So check that out. I hope you guys all enjoyed today. I know it's been a little unusual, and I know I seem a little bit flustered. That's for a myriad of reasons, guys. Lots of stuff going on in the Matrix life right now. It's been tough to put content out there, but I'm glad that I was able to do some things today. And hopefully we'll have the technical difficulties on 5x5 sorted out soon, so that we'll be able to return to just doing everything we were doing before normally. Without any bumps in the road. So, and then hopefully my schedule in my in my Matrix life, hopefully that schedule returns to some kind of normalcy so I can continue to put out content like this. I know I've been probably a little bit rusty tonight. I've been kind of off air more than usual lately, so allow me some time to get back into the swing of things, and yeah. So, much love, everybody. This has been Season Pixels with another Stormwatch special report. This one, the Part 2. If you missed Part 1, once again, if you're on DLive, hit that replay button. You can find Part 1 on there as well. So, much love, everyone, and have a great night, and we will see you soon. Hopefully, by Sunday, we'll have those issues fixed so you can enjoy the Sunday roundtable. But until then, I will see you all later.